Live stream.
Are you able to have like I know not now, but like, do you know, like when you go live and you have just a screen, like a waiting screen, or do you have to use Streamlabs or some shit for that? I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I think we're on.
Yeah, it's about a 30-second lag, I think, on it. So
yeah, cool.
The notification there that we're live. Ooh.
Oh yeah,
we're good. Hello, everybody. Right, this is Richie here, Metal Cell Forums, February version. We have a special guest. Probably those that have seen all the socials will know. So, Barra, Carlin, how are you, man? And welcome to the show.
Crack? Thank you very much for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure.
Likewise, man. Likewise. You're not doing too bad, actually, because you've interviewed two of us, so there's only Danielle and Howard left.
Yeah.
Well, maybe Letty as well. Plug there for Letty, who can't join us tonight. And Joe from Gamma Bomb, I suppose, would be a no-brainer as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they'll be all good guests to get on your show, man. So congratulations on, what is it, 146 episodes now? You're fucking baiting them out, so you are.
Yeah, there was 5 episodes out this week, last week.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, and then recorded 3 this week and then 4 next week. So just banging them all out.
I did notice there was like one every day nearly.
There was way too many that were backed up. I was like, I need to get these out now because obviously what I'm on for the charity gig is going to be all posting that. So that's a week of episodes being delayed and then back to it again next week. A lot of American grindcore bands after that Apes episode want to come on, which is great.
Wow.
Your bread and butter, like.
What?
That's your bread and butter.
Oh, I love grindcore. Yeah, absolutely adore it. So the only problem is the lads are very like they're normally with I see grindcore interviews, they're very serious. But thankfully the lads that I've had on have been messers, so it's been fine so far.
Yeah, and you know what? The last episode I got a chance to listen to and I loved it was the Limerick lad Lymphedema. Is that?
Oh, Lymphedema, yeah.
I pronounced it right. Whoa!
It's a real disorder.
Sponsored by Carrick Dove. It'll help you talk better.
Because his logo is so clear, you couldn't mispronounce it at all.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I know the boys were giving out over that, and I said, "It's Sponge. That's who's playing. The band is named Sponge." And they were going, "Oh, okay." And they actually believed me. Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I've actually seen that logo on like Reddit and stuff like that as well. So when he messaged me to come on, I was like, "Oh fuck, it's you," because obviously I didn't know what it was. Like, I had no idea you couldn't tell what that was. Like it just looks like a blood cell almost. It's a bizarre logo.
It is, yeah. But look, it's a talking matter, isn't it? That's what gets people talking about the stuff.
I have it as a patch now as well.
Yeah,
on the jacket.
The type of thing that, like, when you're in work, someone's just staring at it, being like, "What the fuck is that?" And you really have to explain what it is, and it just keeps getting worse and worse because they stop talking. They're like, "Okay."
Yeah. Just hope they don't Google it and the album cover doesn't come up.
Sorry, the album cover is not the problem. It's the album titles. Shoving a sledgehammer in the rectum of a cow, I think, was one of them. Lovely.
Oh my God. But like just Barra, just for those that aren't aware of the podcast, it's you're more or less kind of exploring the creative process and kind of people's life experiences, and it could be musicians, it could be writers, it could be anyone really that's creative.
It's basically anybody who's creative who can talk for an hour can come on the podcast. And the main thing is I have to like it as well. It's basically just taking people through what their work, why they got into what they do, and then what they're working on, and then what they have planned for the future. And then the last like 20 or so minutes is always kind of like random. I always say it's the random questions I'd ask you at a bar. So like, what was the first album you bought? What's an underrated band? And sometimes that portion is more like you kind of learn more about the person through that end rather than even talking about their own stuff. But I enjoy doing it anyway. And I'll have anybody on. So I've had photographers on, I've had gig promoters on. It's mostly musicians that come on, but like I've had actors as well. So yeah, it's pretty much anybody who can chat for an hour, essentially.
You've said a few times to me that like you get really nervous sometimes about even asking someone to come on.
I hate asking people.
What was, I guess, the most nervous you've been to do something or interview someone, and then how much has that changed? Because to be fair, you've been banging them out, like, so there must be kind of, if you look back at the most nervous you've been to a time that you thought you would be a lot more nervous but weren't, like on the progression of that.
Well, I think I know for a fact the most nervous I ever was for an episode was when I had Grey Stag on, but that was like early days. That was like episode 15, I think.
They're
And
fucking
that was the first that was the first metal band that was on as well. I was so nervous. And I remember, I've told the story 1,000 times, but I remember it was Steve and Matt. You can kind of see them, it was by Zoom, but you can see them looking at each other going like, what the fuck is going on? Because I was like, I'm just such a big fan the entire time.
They're such divas as well.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck's sake, like.
Nervous recently though. I don't really get that nerve. I don't know why I was so nervous asking Evan to come on, but when Lowe was coming out, I had to work myself up to ask him, and he was like, "Of course." It's like, why are you getting nervous? But
And that was a
maybe,
great
yeah.
episode. I was telling you about that.
Oh,
That
thank
was
you
the
very
time
much.
I came across the white kangaroo cracking up, thinking I was
Oh,
losing my
yeah.
mind while I was listening to that episode. I'll always
remember, yeah,
associate it
yeah.
with the episode, and G for that.
The international bands would kind of psych me out a little bit, just because you never really know what way they're going to go down. Like especially, yeah, the two. Well, Andy from Phantom Lung was nerve wracking as well, because you don't know the person at all. Do you know what I mean? Like at least
Yeah.
with like when you're interviewing somebody from Ireland, you can probably
There's
Skype through about 5 minutes or 10 minutes talking about local bands and stuff. But when you don't know anything about a scene, it can make it very tricky. But they were still lovely. The episodes went fine. So
Is there any
Has
kind
there
of
ever been a moment during an episode where you've been talking to someone and all of a sudden you get that flood of nerves of maybe having asked a question that didn't go down too well or getting a response that you didn't expect? Is there ever that moment when you're talking
I
to someone?
pissed a guy off recently because he was talking about his favorite. He was talking about his favorite artist, and he was like, in terms of songwriters, and it was in this room, and he goes, Mumford and Sons. I was like, ha, Mumford and Sons are shite. I just realized that he told me that they were his favorite band. So that kind of
You
put a
actually said
dampener
it
on
to him.
for- I was like, I don't like them at all. Like, and I said it, and I didn't cop it. And he was kind of like, everybody afterwards was like, Barra, that was mean. Like the guy was telling you that was his favorite band. It's honest though. It is. I don't like them. I think they're shite. But
Yeah.
That's such an Irish thing as well, a gut reaction. Like if someone says they like someone, they go, nah, that's shit.
They don't
and then for the whole interview, whenever he brought up folk music, because you probably think it's terrible. I was like, no. It's just Mumford and Sons.
Fine, like, I guess you wouldn't care about it at all.
I'd
But
be
yeah,
quick
that
to
was-
put
that was
the
one
sword
recently
in
that
there
comes
if he
to
was on
mind,
about fucking folk music. Fuck off, you know.
Wrong with folk music.
He was
That-
lovely though. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like fiddles in my music or banjos, especially not banjos.
Is there anyone you'd never have on again, apart from me?
The band that their episode never got released, but I'm not going to name them. But you know who it is.
I know.
Oh man, I want to know.
But they basically were. I can't say the name because they are an Irish band, but they played their
There's an
one of the
Irish
members. One of the members was playing a video game through the whole episode. I found out afterwards
Oh,
because
yeah.
I got the audio back of Zoom and they were typing. It sounded like they were typing, and I was like, "What the hell was going on with that?" He goes, "I was playing a video game. Is that not okay?" I was like, "No, it's not okay. Barred for life."
Fucking hell. And you taught me them as well, and I'm after forgetting. Fuck's sake.
The name, I'll text it to you later, but I won't name them publicly.
Yeah,
but
that's
I'll text
fair.
you later. But
That's
yeah,
fair.
no, fuck them.
Yeah. Bit of fucking. Yeah,
And then they had the nerve to ring me up and say that I was being rude because I got mad about it.
pure
yeah.
disrespect.
Yeah,
Jesus
unbelievable. Yeah. They ran because sorry, this is what I messaged going like that was bad out. I didn't swear at them or anything, and then was like, you can come back on in 2 months' time because I don't want to interview you right again because I'll still be probably mad. But you come back on 2 months' time, we'll forget about it like it never happened. And then this singer messaged me when I was at work. I was like, just to let you know, we all three of us think you were very rude. I was like, are you guys out of your mind? Like, you fucked the interview up. I'm giving you another chance to come back on. And then they were like, yeah, we think you're an asshole. I was like, all right, fine. Well, I'll be an asshole then and you're barred.
Wow.
One has been a fucking good game. Like,
It had to be in like Dota 2 or something. There was so much typing in it. It was like one of those fucking...
Minecraft.
Yeah.
Like my dad, like. Roblox,
But like having listened to a few of the episodes, Barra, I think the greatest gift you have as well with interviewing people is like you can supplement their stories with some of your own experiences, and that's really good to have that rather than
Thank you.
just kind of fucking playing along with it. But I always love when you go off down your own rabbit hole, to kind of, as I said, supplement an experience that you think might have been kind of similar to what band or artists and
Mm.
stuff like that. So that's great to have that life experience, to be
Thank you
able
very
to
much, Richie.
to talk about that, So
It can
Yeah.
backfire though. You could tell a story that is very embarrassing that shouldn't have been told. Then it's out.
yeah, yeah. There's that
That's
as well, I
never
suppose.
happened here.
No, never. Not live anyway.
Hey.
You stop giving a shit, it doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah, fucking.
I think alcohol usually does that to us, Howard, doesn't it?
Yeah. Fucking old age.
Wouldn't know about that. Wouldn't know about that. Yeah.
Pain that, yeah.
Man.
Barra, like after 100 and what you say, 47 episodes, is that what we said?
146, yeah.
Yeah.
146. If you had to go back now, like to the first episode and give
I
yourself
can't
a bit
listen.
of
Oh,
advice.
no.
But if you had to go back to Barra back then and give him a bit of advice, what would you tell him?
Power of asking, just ask people. This
Yeah.
business is sitting on your phone waiting 20 minutes or half an hour to send a message is ridiculous. Just ask people. Or stop being worried about a band being too big to ask to come on a podcast, because 9 times out of 10 they will actually do it. Like I've only ever got one flat out no, was because the person said they didn't have enough stuff out. That was it. It's either they're like as in like I won't do it. Most people they'll tell you if they're busy or not, but like 9 times out of 10 most bands are very, very forgiving with their time and will, be willing to come on and
Yeah,
chat.
I'm surprised actually that nobody asked the likes of Pantera last week to come on a podcast, or I'd be surprised when someone's doing a tour here or has a show to sell, that what they'll do for it to have a chat
I don't
online with
think
someone.
they didn't have a show to sell. It was fucking sold.
Yeah, I think it was sold the
there's,
second it was
that
even
as well, I
rumored.
guess,
They don't need to go on fucking the late
But
late.
I think that's where Letty comes into it, Howard, there, because Letty will just
Letty
stick in.
seems to have found that way of doing things with Gotor and bands like that.
Yeah, she's no problem going in and sticking a microphone under the lads.
She has
and
no
just-
fear whatsoever of celebrity or status, and that's fantastic.
It is,
But
yeah.
I think with Barra, I think it has helped you. I mean, I know that's just something that you're probably overcoming and figuring out as you go along. But I think it has helped you by asking people you're comfortable asking to grow as a podcaster to begin with. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
think as you go through that career, you'll probably get to a point where you're going to be a bit more brazen and ask outright what you want.
Yeah,
you know?
well, recently now I'm much more inclined to just go like, fuck it, I'll just ask. Like Apes, for instance, they're the band that was on recent. They're from Canada, and like they tour with Full of Hell. They tour with all these massive, massive grind bands, and I picked them as my album of the year. I was like, and then Conor
Oh,
Malloy was
wow.
actually Conor Malloy.
Okay.
Oh, I love that band. And Conor Malloy was maybe just asked them. I shot them an email. And they got back to me straight away. They were like, "Yeah, happy days." So I was like, "All right, okay." That's kind of it's like, "Oh shit, okay." Most people will come back. Obviously, I'm not going to go for any band that has like 2 million followers on Instagram, but like the kind of yeah.
Also, Barrett, the fact that you keep them as podcasts, you don't think you're going to go down the route of video anytime soon, no?
I'll put the Zoom ones up on video. This room I'm getting rid of that bed because I'm moving with my moving out of my. This is my parents' house this is my parents' house at the moment. So the plan is, they said that I can use this as a studio because the sound and it's great. So once I move out, if I can fucking find a place in Dublin, because it's just ridiculous at the moment, is get rid of that bed and then just turn it into just a proper space. Because studio space in Dublin is crazy as well. But like this place, I've had like 7 people in here doing a podcast before, and it sounded great at the end of it. So
Cool.
that would be the plan. But yeah, the video stuff, it's expensive and it's time consuming. But the Zoom ones are easy because it's just one camera, so it's not really much crazy amount of work to do to it.
I pay more attention with a video. Like I don't know what it is. Obviously I'll go for a walk and listen to something, but if I can watch a video interview, because there's a lot of things that are lost without body language.
Yeah.
There's certain things that just can't come across by comfort unless there's video in it. So there's any time that I can kind of watch a video version, I'll always go for that.
Yeah, there's been plenty of moments where, especially recording here, where something really funny happens. I was like, oh, I wish I had the reaction to people's face on video. Like the only one that's on video is the last Vinci's one, but that was because Dylan recorded that. But yeah, setting up the cameras.
What a great offer! Like,
oh my god, that was like Alex was like, "Would you like to come down, get the best Italian cooking in the land, and stay in the house and get a free podcast that's video recorded?" I was like, "Yeah, that'd be nice." Why would anybody turn that down?
is that a dog growling?
Yeah, I was about to say,
Oh my god, it's my dog. I'm so sorry. She's snoring.
At least it wasn't a stomach.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, Jesus
I
Christ,
was like,
the blow.
snoring.
I was there going, it must be someone's stomach rumbling, and then it's the fucking dog. Thank God it's the dog. He's snoring.
She's snoring, yeah. But she's wide awake.
I thought it was
she's actually asleep. Yeah, no, Pete's actually on the ground beside me on the other side. He hasn't walked since the worn out gig.
Oh my God, that's brilliant. So Barra, you have a big one showing up coming up.
Yeah.
It's the Enable Ireland. What would you call it? It's a charity event for sure.
Charity event for them, yeah.
Yeah, and you've got Silverglass, Levane, Idle Discourse, and Aura playing. What a lineup!
And then we have one more, which is
Oh, cool.
Nerves. They haven't been announced yet, but they're officially announced now.
Wow.
They're not a metal band, but they're one of the hardest bands I've ever seen live. I don't know. Has anybody listened to Nerves here?
I've heard of them. Yeah.
The name definitely rings a bell. But I
They're
could be
called
mixing up with a
Nerves.
metal
Yeah,
band.
Nerves are class. Nerves are class.
so they're playing it as well. So it's probably one of the most stupid lineups I've seen, and I've put it together, which is great. But every time I look, I was like, I can't believe I convinced the bands to play. So yeah, Silverglass are like a kind of glitchy guitar instrumental band, and they're kind of moving much more into heavy stuff. So they have huge breakdowns on their songs. Levane, I think everybody here knows. Levane is one of the most serious kind of metallic hardcore bands going. Then Idle Discourse, rap and metal, fucking class. They're doing Idle Discourse are deciding their set list with like a rolling machine, like the spin the wheel machine. and then obviously just prog metal, fantastic, just everything kind of music. Yeah, no, it's gonna be a good night. It's in Workman's main room as well, which when I booked it, I didn't know it was 300 people. So please go to it. Because it's a very big room.
Yeah, what a lineup. I mean,
great.
Aura, Idle Discourse, Levane, all of them have been knocking on best album of the year, best EP of the year. Like they're three of the most exciting bands out there for sure, you know.
Yeah, and then with the other two as well, like Nerves with Glorock, the EP last year was one of my favorite releases of last year, and Silverglass are just a band that I've seen go from like strength to strength in terms of sound. And the funny thing is, people were going like, why are Silverglass playing? They're not a metal band, but I was like, watch them live. They make it fucking heavy. They can make it very heavy. They're half the members of Silverglass are in Nerves as well. So poor Adam and Owen are going to be on double duties for the night. One's the drummer as well.
How are you going about organize this? Did you do one last year as well, Barra?
Did one for my 30th birthday, which was Raining in December, Grey Stag, Horrenda, and Cell Games, which was pretty fun. That was in Chennai. And then, this one's because the podcast turned 4 years. So the podcast turned 4 years old. So I was like, all right, put this on. And it's always going to be for Enable Ireland because I just think they're an absolutely amazing charity. I think they help like 14,000 people a year. Like they help adults and children with disabilities all across the country. I think it's a very, very important cause. And like my mom works as an SNA, so she works with children with special needs and constantly goes on about how amazing Enable Ireland is. And even for adults as well, they help families with adults with disabilities. They help adults with disabilities get jobs, which I think is insanely important. So I think it's a very worthy charity to raise money for sure. And then it'll be a fun night for sure. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
But
you can also donate. Like if you're not able to go, you can donate as well.
Yeah, there's a donation page as well, just in case people want to, if they can't go and would like to donate, or if people just don't like metal. But anyway, those people are losers. But yeah, there's a donation page as well. That's on my Instagram page. But hopefully like main thing, I hope just people just buy tickets and go to it because it will be very, very fun. We sold quite a few already, so hopefully just sell a bit more towards the end. It's on Sunday today, so which is this Sunday, which is I didn't realize when I booked it is my dad's 60th, and he has no intention of going whatsoever.
He has to make an appearance.
No, he does not. He went to the last one. And like I don't know if you know, but he's kind of like a very devout Christian man. He runs a Catholic radio station, and watching him react to Horrenda was one of the funniest things. He was furious. My mom was down at the front watching it. She had a great time, but my dad was sitting at the back of the venue, arms crossed, and he goes, "I can't believe I fucking raised him to like this shite."
I'm sure Horrenda had a great buzz out of that.
I think they might have heard worse, but they're terrifying on stage. Like, and my mum was right up at the front. She loved it. She thought it was class.
Jesus. And who's helping you organize all this, like sound engineering, lighting, all this crack?
I don't know who's doing the lighting, but I know like the sound guy will be the guy in Workman's.
Okay.
Yeah, and yeah, more or less. Then it's just Workman's have been quite good actually in helping organize stuff. Like even they have a person, they've no backline there, so they have a person who can just give you stuff to rent out, which is great, which we didn't have to rent out that much parts because the band are bringing most of it because they all have their own bits to use. But other than that, it's been just the band's been incredibly helpful with any questions that I have because I know nothing about gear. Like I don't know how to put shows together or gear lists and all that kind of stuff. And they've all been an absolute delight to work with. Especially Conor Malloy from Levain, been very, very helpful. Should shout out him.
Conor's a legend.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. Any comments there, Danielle?
Yeah, we've got Sean O'Keefe saying hi, guys. Gavin Malone, he's after asking about a topic that we're actually going to touch on a bit later. And he's also saying, couldn't agree more with Barra, go big or go home with asking for guests. Nothing to lose. Keep it up, Barra. Cool stuff as always.
Thank you.
Adam Nealon, he asks, or he just says, hee, thanks, guys.
That's Adam, is it, from Silverchair?
That's Adam from Silverglass and Nerves. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we'll move on. As I said, I'll post a link, Barra, for the tickets and stuff like this on the podcast later.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
And best of luck with that. And
Thank
as
you.
I said, I actually met Jason, the drummer of Aura, at Pantera. So we're just, yeah. So we're just going to go into that because I'm sure a lot of people were at it. And my own opinion on it was that, like, I don't like going to large venues anymore. The last one was Rammstein. I vowed I wouldn't go to that anything like that again. But then Pantera and Power Trip were announced, so I was there for Power Trip more than Pantera. But so I saw King Parrot. They were very good. Not my scene, but Pantera, I was kind of not too bothered, as I said. But after seeing Power Trip were amazing, and a great atmosphere around us for sure. So like the way the whole thing set up for Pantera, just you kind of get it was more the buzz of the crowd around me got me a bit more excited for it. And then when the curtain dropped and on they came, Jesus, they were absolutely fucking awesome. I didn't think I was shocked how good they were, being truthful, you know. And you know, I like it was absolutely wedged in there. But you know, overall, I left there feeling, yeah, I'm delighted I saw him, but that's it. I'm done. I'm done with him now. I couldn't be arsed seeing him again, you know, that kind of way. But certainly Power Trip. The new singer of Power Trip is outstanding, and we'll definitely be going to see Power Trip hopefully in the next year or two. Hopefully they'll get a recording under their belts as well. I think Phil said at the end of the gig that they were going to be announcing more dates, so it is. It is a cash gathering thing for them. But I thought that Suicide, what's it called? Suicide
Note.
Suicide Note. That was a pretty cool tribute to the brothers. I will give them that, you know, but there's people either way with the whole reunion thing, you know. Personally, I'm glad I saw it and I'm not bothered with it anymore, you know.
It seems to be the common feedback from lads. I didn't go myself, so it's difficult to comment from watching videos and clips on YouTube. But any of the old boys that I know that went to see it, said pretty much the same thing, that it was surprisingly good, but it was enough to not go again.
Yeah. Look, I saw fucking hundreds of people, teenagers especially, going to see Pantera, and that would never have seen him, never got a chance to see him. So for all them, like, it must have been fabulous, to see a band like that, legendary band. Even
We
there's only
forget how
half
big
of
they
them.
were. I mean, they probably came to prominence when we were teenagers, Richie. But just at that time when they arrived on the scene, and the Billboard charts were a little bit different back then. There was no Spotify, for example, or streaming. It was just physical sales, and they've shot up to number one out of nowhere. Just shot
Yeah.
up there like out of nowhere and just blew all this other stuff away. I know it didn't last long. There was like 2 weeks, I think, or something, but the kind of cultural impact that that's had till now in terms of bands that have come out since, and influence, and just sheer size. I don't think there's many bands left of that scale even,
They're one of the biggest bands in the world.
in the
You know what I mean?
world, like not just biggest
not
metal
by-
band. They
not
were
by genre, it's by
mm,
one of the biggest bands in the world. Like that gig in, was it Russia?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
91, no,
That
92.
is, like, that is absolutely insane. It's a it's a pity how it all kind of just crumbled down, and like obviously it'll never be the same, but just not being able to grasp. Like, I actually went to show Emily the White Power video. Oh God, we won't talk about the one from the Dime Bash, and as I was doing it, explaining it to Emily, I found like fucking 3 or 4 other videos of him saying it, and like,
Of different gigs, is it?
There's
yeah, like,
loads.
yeah, he
There's
showed
loads
us
of them.
okay.
White Power multiple times.
Oh, fuck
Like
it,
at
okay.
this stage
Yeah.
now, it's kind of like, I used to just kind of be like, oh yeah, look, he's a fucking idiot. But now it's actually gotten to the point that I'm like, oh, he's actually kind of ruined the whole. I didn't know about all these other things. I thought it was that one thing, and he was just being a fucking idiot. But now there's actually so much proof of him doing it multiple times.
Me.
But there's
he's
even proof
actually-
of him doing it in the noughties. Like he would go on
Yeah,
about
yeah.
he'd go on about rap bands. He would open, like in the 2000s would openly go up and go on rants about how they're destroying music, how it's awful, it's fucking, and he was like, you should be proud to be white and all this kind of stuff. He's been doing it for years. I don't know how he's gotten away with it for
I
as
don't
long
know
as
how
he
he
has.
does it. It's
I
it's
don't think
maybe
he has. I
Well,
don't
the
think
big,
he
the
has
big
gone away
giant,
with it.
the big giant Confederate flag behind him would probably have been an indication that for a long
Well,
time.
Barra, to be fair, Cork.
Yeah, I mean, look,
the Cork GA have the rebel flag up as well.
Oh,
I've
did
fallen
they?
for
the
that trap. I mean, I was playing in
Alright.
bands at the age of 23, 24. Lads, you have to understand, we grew up without the fucking internet. Like, we don't know. We grew up with the rebel
that's
flag
fine.
as being
There's
the
no
Cork
problem.
flag that you bring to a GA match. It was only I was 24, 25 when I found out the meaning of that flag. And I've played 50 gigs with that flag behind me, like, not having a
A
clue.
lot of
Like,
people use it because they love that sound, but nobody from Cork is
it
shouting.
was less to do with the sound. It was more to do with the
It was
I
like
think
Southern
the-
Rift flag. That's what it was. No one.
Yeah.
but I think Phil Anselmo knows what it stands for.
Knows
And
well.
like, in
Yeah,
fairness,
exactly.
you know what I mean?
He's like,
Yeah,
in
it's
terms
like
of it drawing your attention to the negative aspect
he's
of
not
the
from
band.
Passage West, like.
yeah. Fucking knows well what he's doing.
Oh man, but I was talking to Letty about it, and we'll have your opinion, Daniel, as well, on how you got on. Actually, it'll be a fast one. Daniel, how'd you get on at Pantera and Power Trip?
I didn't really want to say this in public, but I don't remember a fucking note of the gig. I just like preface this with I hadn't drank. This is my second time drinking this year, and I got a new
And he
job,
made up.
and I also started drinking at the train station at 1 o'clock. So yeah, I went crowd surfing. That's about it. I seen Barra
Someone
Lyons.
saw you crowd surfing, and they said it to me at the end of the gig. They saw Daniel being escorted by 2 bouncers out the side. I was there. Respect, Daniel.
Yeah, I think I had a good time. I was definitely in around the pit at some stage as well, but yeah.
Okay.
Thankfully, it seemed positive anyway, what I can remember. but not everybody had the same experience as me.
Yes,
So.
yeah. So as I said, Letty couldn't join us tonight, but I asked Letty about it, and this is what she said. She said where I was standing. So Letty got in early. She got in at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and just stayed by that front railing. I don't know how she does stuff like that, but she does it. And she goes, where I was standing, the crowd was damn terrible. People having proper fist fights. I had guys groping and feeling me up. One guy even kissed me on the side of my face.
Fucking
So
scumbag. Like,
Fucking
absolute
disgusting.
fucking
horrible scumbag. Type of like absolute. Oh, I'm very careful with words here, but you're an absolute fucking wank bag if you're the type of lad that pop off, sweaty, grabbing women. Like that's the type of thing. If there was fist fights, I hope it's people that were caught doing
Getting the
that.
shit
That got
kicked out
their
of them.
It's not
fucking
that they're a wank bag, it's they're a fucking criminal. You know what I mean? It's not
disgusting.
even about being a bad person. You're being a fucking criminal. Like for a young one like Letty, who we all know and love to bits, to go to a big gig like that and to experience a band like that, and to come away with that
That's
feeling and
disgusting.
experience, and that's fucked up. Like, and I know when you get thousands of people, you're going to have an element, but that's. I would just hope that there was people around her that stood in and said, "Get the fuck away," you know.
But you know what the other thing as well then is like you'll see like on groups where someone will say something like that happened, and then you'll get a load of like lads in their 40s being like, nah, didn't happen.
never
And
saw
Hey,
it,
whoa!
didn't happen.
I'm a
Yeah.
lad in my 40s.
it's
Yeah.
like,
The
look,
one, yeah, the
I-
one comment that I saw was like, "This is a Pantera show. What did you expect?" And it's like you should be able to go to a fucking show without getting molested. Like that's what I expect
Yeah.
from
What
any
does
artist.
the Pantera show, what does that mean? Like it's
Exactly.
fucking,
Yeah.
oh well, of course the KKK was going to be here as well. Like, you know, obviously, like what the fuck does that even mean? It's a Pantera show. This is
Danielle,
here.
what were you going to say there?
Well, like as a woman, I would just say, the outrage is like completely just, but I'd say nearly every single woman has had an experience like this at a gig at least once. And saying like, oh, it's what do you expect at Pantera? It's happened at every sort of a gig. Everybody, it's happened probably to most women, so it's not an uncommon thing.
I think myself, though, Danielle, they can get away with it at bigger gigs because there's
Yeah,
less
I
chance
agree.
of being caught.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
absolutely
girlfriend got
disgusting.
assaulted at Slipknot, and I'll never forget it. It was brutal. Like, it was missed her for 2 seconds, and then because the guy did it, and then he was just gone, so we couldn't do anything about it. We just had to leave. It's 10,000 people in a room. It's nearly
Yeah.
impossible to police it. Like,
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I said that to Letty, Danielle, about like I goes, why didn't you say it to the bouncers? And she said the bouncers were too busy with crowd surfers. She said there was fights breaking out before the first band even started.
Jesus.
Yeah, she said it was the worst crowd she's ever been at. Also, poor Letty, like, I mean, she fucking did this fabulous poster that she always hangs off the front of the railing, you know, to get memorabilia off bands, you know, and she was doing one for Charlie Benante. She showed it to me. It was fabulous. So she had that in front of her, right? And she'd a sign up for him, and she goes, it worked. He came down and he threw the stick to her, and then somebody ripped it out of her hand. You know?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
fucking
for
disgusting.
fuck's
Like.
sake.
Well, I like
Yeah.
look. I think also it's probably not right to lump that crowd in with that band. I think that crowd exists at every fucking gig. As Daniel was saying, it's not the first time that this has happened. This isn't a band problem. This isn't Pantera's fault. This is people at every fucking gig. You know what I mean? Right
At every
across all
big gig,
genres.
it seems, I don't know, like, hard to say, Howard. I mean, because like same fucking shit went down at Sepultura with Danny from Cork, you know?
And as you said, the
Um,
Slipknot gig as well.
But is
Yeah,
it not
Slipknot gig was about 10 years ago, and there was quite a lot of fucking lads just, thinking they can do what they want.
But is it not more of an issue that it's like you get gigs that well, not that nothing like this would ever happen at any other gig, but you have kind of regular gig goers that have gig etiquette that this doesn't happen to the extent, you know, there's horrible people everywhere.
yeah.
But it's the guys that come out being like, you know, they come out once or twice a year and they just don't give a shit, get as fucking pissed as possible. Be like, this is all here for me. I'm going to do whatever I want. You know,
I think
again, like that
I see what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing. I suppose we'd be naive to think that that's only it. It's not. Like it's fellas who've been to gigs 1,000 times do this. This isn't just a bunch of lads who get out once or twice a year who are fucking mentally deranged and sitting at home, whatever.
Yeah.
Take as a break. This isn't just that. This is everybody. We'd be foolish to think that of 50 people in a room at a Cork gig that there's not 2 lads in there who are absolute scumbags, you know.
As I was saying it, I'm saying that it's still happening. I've had to kick people out of dead cult gigs for similar, but I mean,
I don't think there doesn't seem to be any fucking repercussions though, lads, for doing it.
None, and that is
No, there isn't. But I suppose in terms of like the smaller gigs, like I know I'm happy to go to a smaller gig by myself, no problem, because I know everybody there. Something goes wrong, I can turn around. There's definitely somebody within a few feet that I know that it's fine. Like, you know, or somebody will stand up for you. You don't have that at a big gig like that. If something goes down, you don't even know if something's happening beside you because everybody's just looking at the band and the crowd is so big. Like,
I think at smaller gigs as well, you're kind of, you know, if someone is out of line, depending on the venue, but a lot of times they're never getting back in. I know Freds are very good for that. We've had instances where they're just like, don't ask. You tell them exactly what happened. This person did it. They have a look at them. They're never getting back in. Like,
Shane is the same.
Their way back in. The bouncer in Freds.
But when you're dealing with masses of humanity,
that's it. Yeah,
they'll get away with it, and they're quite happy to use the cover of the crowd to get away with it too. You know, so. But
and
like,
also,
you know, absolutely fuck it. What's that,
like,
Danielle?
Like, how are you supposed to catch them? Like, you know, you're probably only going to get a quick glimpse of them. They're gone into the crowd. It's like, it's impossible.
But I mean, like with fucking Letty at the front of the barrier, man, she's fucking under the bouncers' noses, you know. And for a guy to fucking try and kiss her as well, like, fuck's sake, you know. Yeah, it's just fucking the pits, man. Any comments there, Danielle? Did anybody?
Nobody's talking about that. I suppose Jeff's just saying that Walk was epic and you couldn't even hear Phil over the crowd. And Adrian from Conjurings from the Hellfire Club, she says hello as well. So yeah.
Okay, so I think, what's the next big fucking gig in the Tree Arena? Is there
Limp Bizkit? It's on the 15th.
Limp Bizkit, yeah.
Bizkit, yeah. I'm wondering, will they attract the fucking jocks?
I hope to God that's
I've heard multiple times.
Sorry?
The last time that they played, it was one of the most pleasant crowds. I've heard that from multiple people.
Really?
In Belfast. In Belfast. I know a ton of people went to the Belfast gig and said they had the time of their life at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Said that was just pure fun. Because the thing is, like I'm going with a group of friends of mine. My friends don't listen to metal and they're still going to Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, it'll be hilarious and it'll be fun as well. The supports are very strange though. I don't recognize any of the supports that are playing it.
Who is it again?
I can't remember who the supports are. I remember just seeing it going like, what the fuck? I'll get it up
I
here.
know Fred seems to just takes bands that he finds. Like,
oh really?
Okay.
Yeah. Which is great. Like I think that he's online, he's watching bands, he's literally just DMs bands and be like, you want to do the European, like that band Black Gold. I think he found them on TikTok or Instagram and was like, this is class. You want to do the European tour? And like he made the promoters who had already agreed to fees to add on. Doesn't even have to be massive, but add on this fee to get this band 30 minutes as well as food and stuff. And like, he doesn't have to do that, you know. He could.
Sorry, she's.
You sound like you went underwater.
So the bands that are playing it's Bones, who I don't know, Eka Vandal, who I don't know, and Beano Face, and then Karen Dio, and then special guest is Riff Raff, the rapper.
Wow.
Do you know the guy with the fucking giant grill and the mad hair designs at the side? That'll be funny. But yeah, don't know any of them. But that could be even more fun than knowing them.
Absolutely.
Like, what the hell's this?
So, like, you know that we've actually, and Disturbed and Megadeth are playing as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
Is that nice?
Megadeth are supporting, which is a weird one as well.
Fuck that gig.
Fuck that.
Third can get
Yeah.
fucked.
Sorry. I'm not into canceling people, but goddamn, that gig should not be going ahead. That's
No, it shouldn't.
outrageous.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff. That's what Gavin from that Sound podcast was referring to. He wanted us to talk on what we think of the Disturbed.
No, like
Yeah.
even whatever side of the war you're on, the notion of somebody writing their name on missiles to be sent into anywhere is just so unhinged. Never mind them being used on a civilian area. It's fucking crazy.
But you know what the thing as well is, like, when people are like, "Oh, leave politics out of it." This is far beyond politics. This is genocide you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he'll be making a
You'd be like,
fucking
"No,
speech
don't
about
talk
it at
about
the
it."
gig as well, because he always does
Of course
little
he
fucking
fucking will.
speeches. He does his little speeches as well. So it's no, you can fuck off.
Like,
Like,
having Ireland be so openly pro-Palestine, of getting rid of Israeli ambassadors and now putting like a remembrance museum for Palestine instead, and you think this is a good booking, this is a good idea to do, to get a guy that signed bullet or missiles that are going to kill innocent women and children, and you want to put them in the 3 Arena. That seems
which, by the way, which hosted a massive
good,
event only a few months ago for Palestine when Lankham did it with the Mary Wallopers as well. They'll be sharing the same stage as that fucking. It's nuts, and I'm
But you can
kind of
see by
shocked at
the comments,
DME
it's
for
not
putting it
going well.
on. Like, I love the gigs they put on, and I was
Oh, I love them,
amazed to see it
100%.
today. I was amazed to see it.
But you can see
Shocked
in the
as well,
comments, you'll get people that just, wool over their eyes, being like, again, being like, "Oh, sure, I'm only going to see Megadeth." Doesn't matter. You've given him money. You've supported him. If you can go just see Megadeth and then everyone leave, it's like, grand. Dude doesn't have to play a set. He gets fucking free money then. He doesn't even have to work for it.
Yeah, it didn't actually Megadeth fucking write Holy Wars, like.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Which is which is about the Troubles, which is kind of arguably the same thing that's going on there, just a little bit more complicated.
Like, did he have to convince Mustaine to fucking,
I
to
doubt it's
join
on
this?
their
Like?
radar, Richie. I doubt they give a shit. It's different in America than it is here. There's not a whole lot of compassion for the war on the telly. Like, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You know,
It's
if they
too
did,
far away for them to
if they
care.
did, there'd never be a gig played again. Like, I mean, you can spread out, and I agree with what the lads are saying. Like, fuck David Draymond. What a wanker. Like, but we do live in an open society, and people have the freedom to go there and protest all that. I don't know how that decision came to be to book that guy or book that band. Fuck knows. But we don't know. And look, you can vote, or you can show what you feel by just not going. And we're lucky that we can do that. But in America, Dave Mustaine is no more aware of the Palestine war than fucking we are of American fucking, I don't know, the school system or something. They don't give a shit.
I'd say they're pretty aware of it, to be fair.
I don't think so. I think that their awareness of it is what they're being told is basically, this is Israel's right and we're going to support them. And they all just go, America, fuck yeah, and wave a flag and high five. And
all I'm hoping
there's
is
that element for sure. Yeah,
it's different over here. We've had a sort of very
education, first of all.
We're only just after coming out the back of the Troubles 10, 15 years, 20 years now. And most of us are old enough to remember the bombs and remember the rhetoric coming from BBC and HTV and ITV and Channel 4 at the time, speaking about Irish people, about when you had the likes of Jerry Adams speaking on behalf of the Sinn Féin party, and you had a fucking overdub of some fucking, they wouldn't let their voices be heard on TV. They had to get a guy to dub it. How we were spoken about in the press, how Irish people were perceived abroad, all that came from an absolute fucking mania back then, So it's far more close to us than anyone else, really, observing that situation. But I do hope that on a wider scale, people see it for what it is. It's a fucking genocide and it's a horrific thing. And I hope it comes back and bite people like David Draymond in the fucking hole someday. I really do. And I hate to see the cunt in the 3 Arena, but we're a democracy and a free society. I just hope people just don't go.
But that's the thing.
It looks like the people actually are coming out and saying that they're not going. I thought when Overdrive put up about made the announcement today, I thought most of the comments were extremely negative about him coming, which was good to see.
You'll still have people go though. Yeah.
It will. I reckon it'll be close to selling out,
No, I don't think it will. I think a lot of people are putting their foot down with this one.
A lot of the ones that unfortunately, the ones that will make the most noise probably wouldn't have been going anyway, where the other people that are actually going they just won't say anything. They just buy their ticket. They'll be like, whatever. But it's kind of like, you know, if you're looking at someone, you know, we were talking the whole separating the art from the artist. Like, I think when you're looking at things like, you have someone like Dave Grohl, he cheated on his wife. Like, cancel him? Like, that's stupid. This guy fucking signed a bomb that's going to kill a child.
Yeah.
And you have people that are like, oh my God, Dave Grohl, I'll never listen to his music again. And then like, oh, they're playing the 3 Arena though. And he fucking, apparently he didn't write his actual name. He wrote fuck Hamas. So it's, oh, that's fine. But like, what an, there's no balance here whatsoever.
But when you bring in another thing, then like Marilyn Manson's show sold out. And
is it?
Not in Ireland. His shows that he's just done, they're all like sold out.
So hang on a minute. This is what we're on about. Actually, we've moved on to the topic naturally.
Sorry.
It's separate the art from the artist, and it was Danielle's idea to bring it up. And just to kind of, for people that don't know or can't understand it, the phrase "separate the art from the artist" has been coined as a way to differentiate one's appreciation of an artist's music from their disdain of the artist's actions. Would be the best way to try and describe it. And off you go, Danielle.
Well, like, I suppose, like, I'm a massive hypocrite. I went to see Pantera, and I think Phil Anselmo's actions were fucking vile. But I still went to see Pantera, and I was super conflicted about it, and I did feel like I was a massive hypocrite. I wouldn't go to see Marilyn Manson. I think he's a piece of shit. I would not go to see Disturbed. I think, like, and then it's kind of like, is it just everybody's own personal morals? Is that where we draw a line? How do you draw a line? Over to you guys for that simple topic there, guys.
Yeah.
But my hot take is you don't draw a line at all. You know, every single person here is correct in what they think about artists and art. It's really down to the individual. For me personally, it's very easy for me to separate art from the artist. It's never been a problem. It's always been easy for me to look at music and enjoy it, and finding out the person is a piece of shit and not giving a fuck. I just don't care. It doesn't bother me. I won't go see that band live or whatever. I'm not going to buy a t-shirt, for example. But if someone does, that's freedom of expression. You can go and do that. Very hard to see people like Marilyn Manson doing what he's doing, haven't done what he did, be successful, but what the fuck are you going to do? Probably means a lot to a lot of people back then. We forget with Marilyn Manson too in the 90s, he was at the forefront of the trans movement. He was really inspirational to a lot of people, and that's not to forgive what he did. But for every shitty thing he did, there's somebody who's probably alive because of Marilyn Manson in the 90s, what they went through and the terms of identity and all that kind of crap. But for me, it's easy to separate the art from the artist. I don't care. Shitty people, good art. What are you going to do? You know, cry yourself to sleep every night and overthink it and feel bad for listening to something. I wouldn't feel bad about going to see Pantera. Don't like what Phil did, but I wouldn't feel bad about going to see a band that was so inspirational at the time, you know.
It's interesting because I go back again to what I say is just accountability, no more than the people that fucking grope women in concerts. Like, we should expect kind of more from those people, you know, especially in the public eye, and artists as well. So they should be fucking held accountable and reprimanded for fucking harmful behavior, no matter who the fuck they are. So if an artist like Phil fucking comes out and says that about white power, he should be dragged across the fucking courts and fucking made face up to what he said, you know. And then I've no problem listening to his music because the fucker was held accountable for it, you know, and was remanded for it. Maybe he might apologize. Maybe he fucking won't. You know what I mean? But
he did apologize.
He apologized number of times.
What
There's
was it
actually
worth?
multiple apology videos.
Yeah, what's it worth though?
Things.
But it's not for us. We're not the people that he offended. We're not the minorities that were. It's not for us to accept his apology. And you don't know how hollow it is or not. But David Draymond certainly doesn't seem to be apologizing for.
No, he seems to be celebrating the fact that he's signing bombs to send off. You know,
so that's an easy one, isn't it? Then
Instagram.
It's an easy one in terms of the artist being a
That's
prick, but
yeah,
the art
exactly.
is a different thing.
Shit,
You know,
anyway.
I've-
So that's easy.
Oh, Disturbed are terrible.
Yeah.
Disturbed are terrible. Yeah, for sure.
They're the Nickelback of heavy metal.
Don't you fucking bring Nickelback into that.
So Howard, you'd say like the individual should stand trial, not the art itself.
Absolutely. Look, I'm talking from my own background. I went to art college, the degree in fine art and all that kind of stuff, and this was very prominent at the time. Artists are scumbags. It's like fucking the worst of the worst. If you really scratch the surface on famous artists, fuck all of them. Scumbags, you know? But you can find a way to separate the art from the art. Great art is great art, no matter who fucking made it, you know? Doesn't matter. It might matter on some cerebral level or a personal investment level and all that kind of crack. But when art is good, it's good. It doesn't matter who made it, you know?
Do you find though that I think what happens with me, I'm probably more likely to separate art from artist when a drummer does something or a guitarist does something. But when a vocalist does something and they're the ones that it's almost like they're talking, and depending on what the song is or what the lyrics and what they did, it just makes that art then become fake because they're not preaching what it is that they've sang about. Like, geez, you can come up with plenty of different fucking
Lost
things.
Prophets.
Lost Prophets.
Yeah.
When I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
Like the amount, that was the one I was going to bring up, where it's like you're also this other part of it where, you know, could never listen to them. And I thought they were great. I thought they
I saw Lost Prophets a
versus
month
Dragon
before
Ninja.
that news came out.
Yeah.
Never listened to them ever again. It was one of the best shows I'd ever seen as well. Never listened to them again.
Yeah.
I saw them get bottled off at Metallica.
When you talk about the likes of Lost Prophets and things, you're not talking about people who have created a masterpiece. You're talking about a middle of the road
As you
decent
said, that's
band,
all
you know?
subjective though. Like, as you
Yeah,
said,
that could be a masterpiece of somebody else though.
yeah, like it's
It
not
could
to me,
be, but
but everything is subjective. Like
everything
we
is
could get
subjective.
stuck in- we could get stuck in this thing of like, well, everyone's actually right because everyone has a different thing, but then we
Yeah.
might stop fucking.
Yeah.
You know,
Me
there's
personally,
actually no point in having a conversation about anything then. Like,
Yeah, this is one of those things where I do believe that, though. I think everybody who, if anybody is looking at an artist and they don't like the artist and they don't want to listen to the band, they're 100% right. But if someone is looking at the artist and they liked what that person made, and they're absolutely right. If they choose to listen to it, absolutely fine. They choose not to listen to it, absolutely fine. It's kind of impossible to nail this down into a concrete thing. But with the likes of Lost Prophets, I'm not talking about like a Da Vinci, for example. Do you know what I mean? If Leonardo da Vinci turned out to be a terrible person, you could never say his art was shit. You just couldn't.
Yeah.
oh well, this is the thing.
know?
We're not saying the art is shit. We're just saying we can't listen to it anymore because it's been ruined.
And tainted.
That's
Like,
like, it doesn't
Yeah.
negate that the art was any, or the song or anything was any better or worse. But the problem is revisiting that as with a different emotional attachment to it.
Yeah.
That's where the separation comes. It's not, oh, actually, it's kind of like you know, breaking up with someone being like, oh, I never liked her anyway. No, that's what it is. You know
Yeah,
what
that's
I mean?
exactly what you're right. You're bang on with that.
But I will say in the genre and especially in heavy metal, it's rarely a solo endeavor. So we'll say there are many people behind the art than the figures that spearheaded, say it publicly, and they should not be held accountable for the views of their bandmate. Yet they are
This is the thing I
cancelled.
wanted to bring up. Yeah,
They are
absolutely.
cancelled with the fucking guy that's spearheading the band. You know what I mean?
Like
They're
Despot
fucked as
Despot
well.
Omega are a prime example of that. It's just the
Lost
singer.
Prophets.
But yeah, Lost Prophets, Despot Omega get lumped in as a Nazi band. It's just the singer. The rest of the other members, as far as I'm aware, they don't even speak to him. As far as I'm aware, like they didn't record the albums with him in the room with them. It's just, but that they happen to be now lumped as a Nazi band, and they're a dark band. But that's what happens. But it's even like with black metal.
That's a band I'm a big fan of, by the way. You know,
Yeah,
and
they're a
they're
great
only
band.
two-piece from what I understand. I don't think that they went off to do different bands in the future.
Yeah.
But the guy that's a scumbag, I don't think he's done much. Like, you know, I think he's been pretty much pushed to the periphery. You know,
But like
But I mean,
I'm a
Neurosis,
big
Howard.
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Neurosis is the big one for me.
There you go.
Like,
They
But like
step away
the
from them.
bands shouldn't be fucking, the band member shouldn't be punished for his fucking
But I
actions.
think with
Yes.
Neurosis, you have an example of a band taking accountability and saying what they thought. You know,
Yeah,
they
they
didn't
did.
hide in the shadows about it. They came out and fucking as soon as it became public knowledge what had happened, and it became public knowledge through the wife of Scott Kelly, and they came in straight away and backed up everything she said and said, "This guy's a scumbag. We didn't want to speak about this out of respect for her privacy, but now that she's become public about it, we're backing up everything she says, and we will never work with that man again."
Yeah.
You know.
But they're collateral damage.
Absolutely. That you
Yeah.
know, if they want to work, they'll work again. I feel it
Yeah.
for the likes of Lost Prophets, there's no way back for those guys. I mean, I can't imagine they could
did
ever
start
play.
another
They
band
did
and
do another
just-
band.
Did
They did
they?
another band, yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus
with
Christ.
the singer from Thursday.
Yeah.
Like it was nobody would really touch them because it was just they were tainted with it. It had nothing to do with them. Their lives are ruined because of him.
Ruined and
Yeah.
But like, if you take a step back and you look at like other art forms, like the film industry, like, are you going to like not okay? If you watch like something that Harvey Weinstein produced, are you going to like not have anything to do
Roman
with any of the
Polanski
actors in
movies,
that?
you know?
Roman
Yeah.
Polanski is the big one. Like Rosemary's
Roman
Baby
Woody
is a
Allen.
fucking amazing
Woody
film,
fucking
but I
Allen.
do
There you go.
find
Woody
it-
Allen.
Yeah. Like, you
Yeah.
know, you can't like J.K. Rowling. Like,
I think with
There's
film
only-
it's a little bit different though, because there's hundreds of people involved in a film. Do you know, with the band at least it's you're dealing with 4 or 5, 6 individuals, and if one's a fuck up, you know, you can kind of go all right. But like with the film, that's why I find it like one of my favorite directors is Lars von Trier, and I'll be honest, like the separating the art from the artist thing, I have a very hard time doing it, but I still like Lars von Trier, who is an insanely problematic filmmaker. But it's just one of those things. But like even like as a like I love black metal, and I really do love it. It's one of my first kind of, in terms of extreme metal, it's my first kind of introduction to that. I find that the term separating the art from the artist is often used as an excuse just to openly listen to Nazi bands, and like to a point that it's like, you know, whatever about listening to them. Like I loved a band called Drudica, who are from Ukraine. They're a massive Nazi band. I didn't know when I was listening to them. Found out, had a hard time listening to them again. But then you have people who, never mind listen to the band, wear the merch, and then also go to see them live. And it's like, you know, and they go separate the art from the artist. It's like, you can't really separate it with black metal because the art itself is white nationalist music. Like the whole song is about nationalism. It's all about purity and all that kind of carry on. But in terms of like Drudica and countless other bands. So I really and then you hear people use it all the time. It's like, I don't think that is applicable in what what the term separate the art actually means. But I think people are using it to get away with just listening to people who are pieces of shit just because they like a nice riff. And I always say it's like, if you wouldn't let your friend away with it, you certainly wouldn't support a politician who was doing it. Why would you let somebody who just happens to make a really good song away with it? That's the part. That's kind of my standing of it.
There's a bit of discovery in that too, especially with black metal, in that people figure this stuff out and they look up and they come across a band, they enjoy it, and then 6 months down the line, they have a look at the history of the band, they go, fuck, that band are terrible. And on that discovery, they want everyone else to know. So they go hard on people, stop listening to that band, they're fucking Nazis. And that other person hasn't made that discovery yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like, sure, I was told that the Winterfire
get this natural defense reaction where people go separate the artist from the artist, you know.
But my main thing is like, stop pretending like the band aren't pieces of shit. If you openly acknowledge that you're wearing the merch and going to shows of a Nazi band, that's fine. Do what you want, but stop pretending it's this kind of like, oh, it's just the art that I'm into. It's, do you know what I mean? Do you know, like, it's a lot different going to a show than just streaming them on Spotify.
But like you're just describing, if he listens to Nazi music, if he dresses in Nazi clothes, he's
has a Hitler mustache.
But it's a major problem.
What if you wear a tutu while listening to Mayhem? Does that count? Is that okay?
Yeah.
You know?
Any comments there, Danielle?
Yeah, so Baron says, hands off Nickelback, PS, big love in the Bruges smells. And another person is backing up, keeping our hands off Nickelback.
Fuck yeah.
Raji Bear.
I
Yeah.
apologize for the comment. It's just an easy one to slag.
I know.
Separate you at
I love
all.
how that's been the most controversial thing that we've said all night.
Yeah.
Fucking
Hands on, yeah,
Nickelback. like.
genocide and Nazis. Yeah, let's hands off Nickelback. That's fucking.
But Howard, you
Trying to
know,
stay quiet.
but Howard, you were saying there, we'll just go about art in general, like creating art, like it's an extension of the artist, surely, right? And it's a
Absolutely.
glimpse of their identity. It might not be obvious to many, but it is a glimpse of their identity, and as it's an extension of themselves. So, is the creator of the art detached from it the moment the figurative pen
As soon as you put
clicks
art
shut?
out into the stratosphere, as soon as you put it out there, as soon as you let it up, it's no longer yours. You can
Yours.
pretend it is. You can say, this is mine, I put my heart into it, and it's all going to be mine. No, as soon as you put that out there, it's someone else's straight away. And you might be a person, let's say, who's very progressive, and you put something out, and some Nazi in some part of the world sees it and loves it. Do you know what I mean? They take that and they own it. And there's fuck all you can do about that. Do you know what I mean? So when you put art out there, it's not yours anymore. You made it, but it's not yours anymore. It's for everybody to interpret it whatever way they feel. And everybody will be correct, even those who don't want to engage with it because of what they think of the person. They're correct. The person who wants to engage with it, despite the person, they're also correct. It's art. And that's what makes art so beautiful and so universal, you know? It's the darker aspect of humanity.
I agree to that to a certain degree, but if I write a song and tell you this is what the song is about, and then you take it off and say, no, it's a Nazi song, that ain't happening. Like, it's just like we can have this big, beautiful view of art, which I definitely have, but there's a certain extent of it to be like, you can misinterpret art, and
100%.
you're actually free to do that, which is the fun of it. But the intention you might not know, but it doesn't mean what you decide is actually right, whether you now own it or not. Because because we can't just fucking turn what Candle in the Wind into a fucking pro-Israel tune. Like you can't just do that willy-nilly just because you want to. Like you're like, oh, this is what this is about.
You know,
And
there'll
now-
be consequences if you do that, is what I'm saying. You can do that, but there will be consequences to it. You won't be taken seriously for one, and it'll be too much of a stretch and all that stuff. But what I'm saying is that people will do that, and there's fuck all the likes of myself or yourself can do about it. You know, it really is, other than say what the song is about, which we do thousands of times. I mean, it's well documented between ourselves, worn out in part alone, of how we created our art. It's all over the internet. It's there to be found. If someone wants to find that, they'll find it. But if some idiot in some part of the world wants to interpret that as some sort of Nazi sympathizing or whatever, what can you do? It's up there for them to find out themselves. But if you're not going to do that, you know.
Yeah, my whole thing is like normally, like I personally, for me, I don't like it. Like but I'm not going to rag on somebody for listening to Marilyn Manson or listening to Rammstein. But I would just be people being honest about, you're aware that these people did this. And I don't like when people try and pretend it's like, oh yeah, I'm clueless when they do know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, there's plenty of that as well.
Especially when it comes to black metal, like the black metal subreddit. There was videos of Varg on it recently doing like a fucking dance. I was like, oh, fucking Varg's a gas man. He's like, no, he's a murderer and a white nationalist. Like let's be real about what's going on here. Like, but not to go on about black metal the whole time. But for me, like, I can listen to stuff, but when I know I really disagree with the person disagree with what somebody did, not even like politically, but if definitely what somebody did, like if they harm somebody or whatever, it kind of taints it for me. I can still appreciate that the art is good. But for me personally, I won't like engaging in it, but I wouldn't be going to somebody, you know what you're doing, like in terms of like you're listening to it, whatever this, or you know what this person did. Just let people figure it out for themselves. But for me personally, I just like, oh, I can just leave it. The main issue I have is just people, please stop going to see Nazi bands live. Just stop it.
Yeah, I mean, this happens the whole time over in America as well for fucking presidential debates or fucking candidates fucking using Pearl Jam or fucking Bruce Springsteen, you know.
Yeah.
Sinead O'Connor as well, wasn't she?
Sinead O'Connor for fucking Donald Trump.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that was the recent one, yeah.
What
Yeah.
song?
Nothing Compares to You, I think,
Ah,
wasn't it?
fuck off. Are you serious?
I think it was,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think
Oh
her
my
family
God.
complained and tried to get it moved. Yeah. Yeah.
These fuckers, like.
It'd be hilarious if it was Mandinka knowing what that song's about. Like.
About Trump. So
Yeah.
excited.
But like, yeah, so like the individual should stand trial, really, not the art itself.
I
So that's a
believe
fair
that.
enough
And I
statement
think
from what.
particular music, you are, as Evan said, you are talking about a collective of people. We're not talking about one individual, do you know?
Mm,
It's different if you have an overriding aesthetic like black metal does, where all members of the bands are going to be on the same page. But when you're looking at like the Neurosis and even Daughters or bands like that, where one person out of the five of them
Yeah,
has really
Daughters.
just been a scumbag, you do feel as a little bit, you know,
Dirty.
upset for the rest of them.
Yeah.
But the argument is why you feel upset for them, you should feel upset for the victim. You know, I mean, can keep going with this stuff and never really find a conclusion, you know, because every case is different and every artist is different. You know,
yeah.
But it definitely is. I think the main thing is, you know, regardless of you know, what someone does or anything, the art itself is still the art. It comes down to then how you feel about digesting it.
Yeah.
Mm.
The audience determines it, like.
A lot of the time, especially if it's a vocalist, really depending on what it is. I'm someone like, again, I mentioned earlier, Dave Grohl, like people were like as if he was done for life, cancelled, like, oh, he cheated. Like, that's not a fucking whatever, man. Like, look, it's not a good thing, but we're also comparing it then to like rapists and murderers and fucking. They're
His
just,
case was very extreme. The backlash towards that news.
it was
Like
very extreme. And it was
he's human. He fucked up. Like I know what he.
yeah.
Like I don't condone what he did. But Jesus Christ, people were acting like, you know, he was this
people love
the
this.
worst person
But
on
people
earth.
were
like.
waiting for him to fuck up for
Yeah,
a
they were.
long
Yeah,
time.
they were. Yeah.
Loves an old witch hunt, and it doesn't matter what. But it then the problem is it dilutes when something actually does
Yeah.
need a witch hunt, because everyone just gets like so sick of hearing everyone being like, oh, this person, this person, this person, this person, when it like, you know, then it's kind of like, oh, well then fuck it, why don't we just fuck everyone then? Like, do you know what I mean? Like you got to make some kind of like, right, what's actually worth, what is really, really bad here? And I think cheating on your wife, like fucking people do that down the street. Do you know what I mean? That's not to the level that someone's career should be absolutely ruined. Like he's still going to make fucking.
Poor Sinead O'Connor's career was ruined for tearing up a picture of the fucking Pope, like, you know, and how crazy is that to think in modern times that was something back then that really offended that many people. You know, it's
and the funny
crazy.
thing is, if anybody knew anything about Sinead O'Connor, like from reading her book, she was a very religious woman. She was just annoyed at the
clearly.
she was just annoyed about what the institution was doing. Like it was a perfectly reasonable protest movement.
And in hindsight, it's become, you know, even
iconic,
legendary,
iconic and relevant for the time. You know, it'd be like someone ripping up an Israel flag now on SNL, and you know they won't get thanked for that for 20 years. They'll be just cancelled and forgotten about and fucked into the corner. You know, and we'll celebrate them in 20 years' time for doing it.
At the time as well, the church, especially in Ireland, had so much more control. So, you know, and people were so much more kind of, it was more part of everyone's life. You know, like there was a lot more people going to mass on a Sunday. It was, even if some people, younger people did think it was amazing, there was like, that's, you know, you were cancelled if you if you tried to, you were shunned and cancelled if you tried to agree with her, you were a heathen, like. So
and then you get the other side of that argument where, you know, people who are so sensitive and devoted to a religion like that, and they see an icon like ripped up in front of them, are they right to react that way? I mean, you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you went on and burned the Quran or the Quran, I mean.
Well, it happened in Sweden. Your man that burned it was fucking executed.
Shot in the head.
So, like, you know, it's kind of an impossible conversation to conclude. But there's examples of the madness of it everywhere, and that's why for me it's so easy to just separate the art from the artist. It's because you get caught up in this political madness, this ideology madness, and what's left is the music or the thing that the person has made, and that's what you got to look at, you know. And it's not for us to go and diminish everybody for bad things they've done, but it's also not for us to sit by idly and not say something when you come across fucking assholes and whatnot. But at the end of the day, art is art. You fucking just cannot you cannot own it. You cannot give it away. You cannot do anything with it. It is what it is. Very difficult thing to articulate, you know.
I definitely don't like listening to music by rapists anyway. It just ruins it.
Yeah. And I mean that sentence alone is like, yeah. Who can argue with that?
Yeah, I hate it. Like, it ruins it. It's happened. I hate it.
Yeah. Anything else,
Yeah,
Daniel,
I'm
there
with
before
you on
we...
that one.
No, there's no more comments.
Okay, cool.
Come on,
Yeah, I
people,
think-
comment. Is everyone afraid to comment about these things? Like,
Yeah,
what are you fucking afraid of? Like, it's just opinions, lads. It'll be fine.
Poos and farts. Okay, everyone, what's your favorite fart noise? Come on. Absolutely break YouTube with people being like,
But that alone speaks to the difficulty of the conversation, that people are reluctant to comment on it and put what they think online about something that's potentially going to have a conversation develop. They might not like being told.
they'll all
that they're
get
wrong,
cancelled.
you know?
Yeah, like, but sorry, go on.
No, go on, Barra.
I was just gonna say that there is nothing worse than loving somebody and finding out that they're a piece of shit. Like, it's one of the worst things that can happen in terms of, like, if you love something creatively, and then especially music, you know, because you're listening to it non-stop, and then finding out it's awful. So I can understand, you know, that aspect of, like, I can't do it anymore. But yeah, it's not, you know, you can still listen to other stuff.
The horrible thing is like every couple of weeks, there's some other lad in a scene that's fucking texting 16-year-olds.
Yeah.
There's someone doing
go on.
this. And
Free
like,
tickets on the door and fucking this and that. Fuck off, you know?
fucking all the time where you're like, this person from this band, and like, fuck them as well. Do you know what I mean? But it's like the guys that are part of a crew and a team that are the loudest about, you know, like inclusiveness and all this. It sometimes it can be that like fucking correct mindset where it's they're building people up just to stick with them when they're doing really fucking shady shit. And we've seen it loads, especially over COVID. There was people getting caught left, right, and center because people actually had the power to stand up and felt strong enough to do it. So yeah.
Like my childhood band's Papa Roach, like they are, and I'm constantly like, I don't really listen to them that much anymore, but I'm constantly like, oh, thank fuck they have made it through without anything happen to them. Do you know, like I'm constantly like, because Jacoby was on fucking cocaine for 15 years. So and there's there's nothing bad about it. I was like, oh, thank fuck. Just keep it going.
They had a lot of money, Dara. They had a lot of money.
What?
There's always skeletons in closets, man.
They had a lot of money. You know what? I saw them in just because I thought this was actually important. I saw them after Evan's gig actually in Manchester. I saw them in Liverpool, and they stopped the gig halfway through and do like this big thing about suicide awareness in the world. And then they say that a percentage of the money that they make for every city that they play will go to a city's suicide prevention charity, which I thought was amazing. I've never seen a band do that. So yeah, hats off to Papa Roach. But yeah.
They always get a shout out, don't they?
They do get a shout out most times. Yeah, they are.
I'm with you in that, Bar. I saw Papa Roach in 2001 in at Reading, and they played after. Do you remember that band Amen?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
I forget the man's name, the singer, but he kind of like put on a show and he broke his ankle, and you know that was his stick, and they broke strings and they they trashed the place, whatever. And Papa Roach were on the main stage after him, and like he came out, man, and he had a point to prove. I've never seen so much blood on the stage, and it was not what I expected because they were a new metal band, like.
Oh, they're fucking like, even when I see them,
he was
like,
intense, man.
Jacoby, I think Jacoby's like, he must be, I think he's 48 and he has more energy on stage than most young bands I've seen. He does not stop moving constantly.
Amazing.
And non-stop. I've never seen as much pyro on a stage either.
Song.
What?
Don't stop moving. Don't stop.
No, but like he's more like not to say like 48, you know, it's not that. He had more energy than bands I've seen who are 16, 17 starting off, and he's just running mad. I thought he was going to run into the pyro at one point because he was just running all along the stage the whole time while singing.
Anything else, Danielle, before we wrap it up?
Yeah, we've a few more. So Barron says, big up art in general for driving this debate. Have to watch out for the collective outrage and driving views underground. Better to have it in the open and to challenge the views. And Roger Bear, just to reference your discussion on how art is perceived once it's released and how the artist no longer owns it. Big Dave Grohl said you can sing a song to 10,000 people for one reason, they will sing it back to you for 10,000 other reasons. Terror Syndrome, hey lads, and Tomas O'Brien. Lots of fantastic interviews on Who Art Thou, Barra.
Thank you very much.
Listen to Show Me the Body to change your mind on the banjo.
No, I like Show Me the Body, but I will not acknowledge that they use a banjo.
Marcelo Barge is saying, good man, Barra, spot on Jacoby's age.
Marcelo of Ura.
All right, nice.
Yeah.
Hello, Marcelo, who's playing the gig, by the way.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Let's give it one more plug before we finish up. It's next Sunday, Barra, Levine, Idle Discord, Aura, Silver Glass, and it's for Enable Ireland, a fantastic charity. There will be tickets available on the day, probably. Will there be on the
tickets
door?
at the door, yeah.
Yeah. And
it's a big room, it's 300 people.
It's 300 people, so we need to fill that up. And
Please
if you can't go, please donate online like I did. And, you know, you can, even though you can't go, I'm gutted I can't go because I love all those bands on the bill. I don't know Silver Glass, but I will certainly give them a listen to but Levain, Idle Discourse, and Aura. You know what you're going to get, lads. Just fucking do it. Go to it if you can on a Sunday.
Nerves as well, announced today.
And Nerves. Oh, yeah, there's a surprise guest.
Yeah, Nerves announced today.
Nerves announced today. So that's it. Evan, Danielle, Howard, Barra, thanks for coming on the show.
Much appreciated.
And thanks everybody for listening. Okay. I'll just